Hello, welcome. Another session of Behavior Intelligence Live. Just give it a moment for people to join. Do give me a thumbs up in the chat window. Just let us know where you're coming from and what area, what do you do, what would you like to get out of today? And we will get started in a moment. As soon as I get the tech working the way I need it, we will get started. Thanks. Okay. Assuming this all works. Yes. All right. So today we're talking about how to coach leaders to peak performance while leveraging behavior intelligence and Acumatch. This is what makes us unique. This is what really gets to the detail of how we behave instead of how we think. It gets into the detail of the what to do and how to do it, which is the behavior that really gets you the result. Your thoughts do not produce any results other than they are your thoughts. In fact, your intentions are not necessarily aligned with your behavior always. Your behavior could be wrong even though you have the best intentions. So without further ado, let's dive into this. Get your pens ready as usual. I make no apologies for the volume of information that I will cover, other than instead of doing 90 minutes as usual, we'll try and get this done in under an hour and give you as much value as possible so that you can take away this information. There's really tangible information. You're going to want to take notes of some of the key points. Maybe draw a line down your page and put the positives on one side and the opposite of that on the other side. If you're not doing this, then that becomes the opposite that you want to put on the other side. Okay, so what is today all about? So it's, as I mentioned, it's about coaching leaders. Now, leaders could be executives, business owners, managers, etc. So, this falls into maybe business coaching, executive coaching, or life coaching, career coaching, those areas. This is relevant to a lot of these things, including recruiting, and we will talk about that as well. So I'm going to talk about what is behavior intelligence. We're going to talk about the importance of that, and we will also dive into understanding behaviors, the gap in leadership, dynamics, etc. We will focus on also introducing Acumatch so that you understand how that fits into the coaching arena when you're working with clients and why it's become so important for so many coaches. We have coaches around the world in multiple languages using Acumatch because of the power of the specificity that you get from a map like Acumatch. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to put this into 5 stages of what you might do with a leader, business owner, executive, etc. Okay, so the framework is designed around taking someone through a journey and looking at the impact of that journey on the business, on the team, on the culture, the environment, etc. I will have a bonus, so please do stay till the end. This is something that, we've got Black Friday coming up. We've got a lot of things happening all of a sudden. So this is a real huge opportunity of what I will be talking about at the end of the session. And I appreciate you hanging with me. This will be very informative, I'm sure, for a lot of you. Okay. And look, sometimes you're going to hear things that you may have heard before. Do be open to receive the information. It might reinforce what you already know, or you might get a little bit of a light bulb moment saying, oh, I had forgotten about that. That's really important. I should make a note of that and get back to it. So often things are presented in different perspective for that very reason. We all have our own way of doing things. So what I'm presenting today is one way, but if you take this information and implement it in your own strategy, your own business model, then it will help you to leverage that information within your practice. Okay. The whole point is really to get better results for your clients. And we'll talk more about that, but just to give you a little bit of an insight, the reason we do that is when you leverage these systems that I'm about to show you, you'll see the results of what you can get with clients. You'll attract more clients and you'll keep them longer. So when you attract more clients and keep them longer, what does that do to you and your practice? It allows you to run a successful business. When you have a successful business, you are more comfortable working with more people. You also come across as a successful coach, and people want to work with successful coaches. They don't want to necessarily, I hate to say it this way, work with failing, struggling coaches. You need to really get your confidence level around your product, your methodology. And that's the reason we're doing this is really a powerful set of tools and methodology that you can embrace and make it your own and have that confidence to get results and to continuously grow your practice. The first stage, obviously, is going to be the self-awareness that a leader needs to go through. And it's very interesting when we look at that, just, so many people talk about that today. Oh, yeah, I'm self-aware and so forth. But you'll see, I'm going to share some statistics with you in a moment, just how poorly that is in reality as opposed to the wishful thinking. Now, mapping the behaviors, as you see in the example there, the graph with the specific lines that are shown against a benchmark, and you can do multiple different benchmarks. So you can compare a leader to other leaders around the world, or you can compare them to what we refer to sometimes as general population, which really means everyone in our system, to see how they'll engage with their team in a general sense, given that their team is likely to be a mix of different people. So that specificity of being identifying the neural patterns that have developed over a period of time that create the identity of you as a coach, your client as leader, those specifics are really powerful in the identification. We've seen a lot of other systems that put people, give it a label. We don't know what that label means. So we've shifted completely away from that. We want to know the past programming so we can have a conversation to help the person we're working with to uncover how they got to be that way so that they can make a transformational change. with neuroscience, I've talked about this many times before. We know the neuroplasticity of the brain means that we can learn anything, we can develop anything. And the reason we don't project labels and capabilities or abilities and your potential and all that sort of stuff that you might get with other reports, this is really a coaching tool. We want the client to discuss and uncover these things. We are not interpreting and reading this and projecting all kinds of assumptions and conclusions about the person we're working with. We are really giving them the tool to go through the journey of self-awareness. And this has been proven, as I said, with thousands, tens of thousands of people around the world in multiple languages. It is very precise in helping people achieve that. Okay. So I mentioned the statistics are staggering, and there you have it. Most leaders are like those three figures on the right there, where they really don't want to hear that they are not self-aware. They don't want to talk about that, and they go into the denial stage of this. And then statistically, as you can see there, 95% of leaders think they are self-aware, but in reality, we're lucky if it's 10 to 15%. So this is a really important thing to keep in mind when you are working with people. It is not realistic to just accept someone saying, I'm self-aware, or you, for that matter, saying, oh yeah, I'm pretty well aware of my strengths and weaknesses. Yeah, sure. But in most cases, in addition to really not being fully aware, because you might pick one or two things, but we're looking at 49 different behaviors that are really important for people to get to know and to understand the impact on others. I'm going to keep touching on the bottom line for business because I'm talking to coaches and leaders today. And both need to understand the ripple effect of these things from a financial, business perspective, the impact on an organization and success. When we have success, we feel better about doing things, about helping people and so forth. So this is an important set of numbers there that you can see. $1.2 million for a $10 million company. That's a 12% cost there, and a potential increase of $500,000 when they deal with these things. So that's stage one, self-awareness. Stage two is the adaptation then of their style within the organization. So adapting the style based on these behavioral insights in order to transform and change. I often share the bee sting story. When I was stung once by a bee, I immediately reverted to a state of mind that was instantly conditioned into fear. And it took me weeks of deliberately taking charge of that in order to transform myself back to a person that is not afraid of being stung. So change is possible. There is just so many examples that I can give you of people that have done that. And as you can see from the diagram there, this is a CEO of a company, and the shift that occurred over a 6-month period was significant. It was visible, it was tangible. When they did their AccuMatch map 6 months into the program, they had transformed their pattern of how they communicate with the team, how they receive information to make decisions in this case. Okay, so the decision reference of internal versus external was externally influenced all the time. And how that shows up as a leader is sometimes it's seen as a sign of weakness. Can't you decide for us? You need to give us direction and being a strong leader. And so when that turned around, the whole team was impacted. And I'll talk a bit more about that. But like going to a gym and working out, the challenge sometimes is that, I'm sorry, the camera seems to be clicking in and out. The impact of that can really affect the results in the organization and the leadership style within the organization. Mm-hmm. So aligning your style is really important for your change, your transformation. And the example I was just about to share is if you go to the gym and work out, you do that for 6 months and then stop, what do you think happens? You just go back to the way you were fairly quickly. Well, the brain goes back even more quickly than you realize because those neural pathways are still so prominently embedded in what's known in neuroscience as a myelinated sheath that is like a superhighway. And you haven't replaced that superhighway. You haven't turned it into a gravel road that is discarded. And so maintaining change is really important. And so that's something else that you need to think about when you're working with clients is this isn't a quick pill. This is something that they need to work on with you. And it's important for you to understand that and position it right at the beginning so that they know what to expect, that it's not a surprise that after a 6-month program, they fall off and they blame you, well, it didn't work and all that sort of stuff. Prepare them for that journey. Okay? It's an important aspect of your leadership and working with them. Right? So the flexibility study around leadership flexibility, their ability to adapt and to be like a chameleon for their team members. You can't just treat all your team members the same way. They're all different. They all receive information differently, and you need to adapt. And you need to adapt into different contexts, different situations, and so forth. So that flexibility is so powerful. It's a 25% impact on the business, okay? I'm not going to read all the numbers up there. I'll let you read that. But there is a large amount of financial impact that we don't think about when we're running a business or when we're coaching a business owner. We need to constantly remind them of the financial impact because 25% of an average salary will cost a company, over $200,000 on a typical company, a 10-employee company. The flexibility on turnover is also very impactful. So people stay longer when you can adapt and work with them the right way. Employee engagement goes up. For the last decade or two, we've really honed in on employee engagement, but we haven't really identified the methodology and the tools to this preciseness, this level of detail as we are doing with Acumatch and behavior intelligence. Mm-hmm. So imagine, your business flourishing like that money tree on the right there as a result of you just these 2 stages. If you worked on these 2 stages, what would it mean to you? Your self-awareness and the way you work with your clients, because you're also part of this journey. And the reason I run a weekly masterclass with all our certified coaches and people come and go and they attend this, is to share that journey and to learn from the past experts that are now been through this journey for almost a decade with us. And that camaraderie, that community then helps you become a better coach as well. So the masterclasses are really important. They're more of a mastermind group, but we look at maps, we analyze them together, we discuss strategies, methodologies. We have PhDs on board, we have psychologists, all kinds of people from different backgrounds, not just coaching, that this is important for. In fact, if you think, and we have some leaders on this call, if you think yourself as a leader, there are two types of leaders. You're either working in the business and you're so busy dealing with stuff that you're not really looking after the people, or what leadership really is all about is about leading people. And what we're talking about today is really about becoming that leader or becoming a coach or a mentor within an organization to your team. And that is the opportunity. And we've covered a couple of stages that would help you do that already. Moving on to stage 3. And that is now leveraging Accumatch and behavior intelligence together to map people, as you see in the graph there, together on the same graph, on the same presentation, so that they can see how they interact together. This is the only tool I know of that allows us to do that very easily. Everything else just gives you an individual. We are now able to not only do that, but we can create multiple benchmarks, we can map multiple people, and that gives us the opportunity to then bring the behavior intelligence methodology on top of the map, because the map creates that tangible, visible, 80% of the population is visually oriented, right? So they need to see this stuff to believe it, and that's what that means. Okay, so mapping team members together can reduce conflict, can improve motivation, it can help them to understand their performance and what they need to do to grow and evolve, so career coaching, etc. And it fosters, it's amazing, I'm going to share some stories with you later on, that collaboration between team members. Instead of judging and filtering and using our biases, we become more understanding of each other because we can see the differences in someone's brain almost. It's like a lens or a microscope looking into someone's brain. If we could have fMRIs on every person's head in the workplace, and we could instantly see how they react to different situations, it would be wonderful, but we don't have that. So this is where Accumatch and behavior intelligence allows us to do that in a simpler way that people can use it more effectively. So Accumatch is the gateway to doing behavior intelligence coaching. Behavior intelligence coaching is figuring out through the understanding how the brain works and how people interact and behavior and so forth and the dynamics of all of that. It's a full course that I run on that. That methodology then is what allows you to do your one-on-one coaching on specific areas or group programs for teams, etc. You develop all kinds of new tools, but the critical thing that many business coaches don't realize is that doing stuff in the business is not enough. Doing stuff on the team and the leadership can impact all of these things that are going on within the business. Because when you remove conflict and judgment, you may not remove it completely. We're all human still. But when you reduce that and increase collaboration and engagement, all of these things have a ripple effect right through the organization, not just the culture and the camaraderie and the spirit of a great environment, but it affects the bottom line directly. Okay. And again, sharing some numbers, because I want you to know the numbers. So when you talk to your prospects, these are important parts of what they need to know about the impact of what your coaching will bring to their organization. We often get into a bit of a conversation about the finance department, the accountants, the chief financial officers saying no to some coaching because they see it as an expense. This is your opportunity to show them the statistics to back the fact that this is not an expense. It's actually an opportunity for growth. It is a way to grow the bottom line. Okay. So these are important facts to keep in mind. All right. So again, if this was your UVP, your unique value proposition was around your ability to take the organization through this journey, what's the impact to you, your business, your practice, your lifestyle, how you influence people, etc., your ability to grow your business? Did you know that, for half a century or more now, we've known that when you talk to someone, a prospect, and you can demonstrate that you have a methodology to take them through, that this increases your success rate of acquiring new clients significantly. When you have tangible evidence like the map, and we do the map at least every 6 months, sometimes sooner, right? So that they can see the tangible change like you saw in the case studies that I shared earlier, and I'll share some more with you in a little while. What would this, and again, make notes of these things, because each one of these, if you list the things you're not doing that you could be doing, the numbers of the impact, I want you to write on the right-hand side, how much growth will you have as a result of that? How many more people can you impact as a result of having this level of clarity in your practice, in your business? Stage 4. Now we get into the hiring and role alignment, the behavioral fit. Okay. And the important part of this is, we hear this from some of the great leaders around the world. Richard Branson is one of my favorite, always talking about the team. You hire for attitude, not skill. You can train skills. So you need to really think of attitude in a different way now. Where attitude is not you reading their mind when you're recruiting somebody. Attitude is really the observable behavior. Okay. And this is something that hasn't been done very well in the past and needs to improve as a result. So the importance of that is assessing behavior during the recruitment process, rather than just asking questions that relate to the context of the last job, or checking references that really don't align with your culture, your environment. The cost of mishire is significant. So you can see some of the numbers there. I think these are fairly light. My last study about 10 years ago of this data suggested that it would be 5 to 8 times someone's annual salary that costs the organization when they have a mishire. Okay, it takes 6 months for someone to realize they've hired the wrong person. That means training, onboarding, hiring new people, training again, but that's only part of it. The impact on other team members can be significantly expensive. The impact on clients that those people that were the wrong people can have on potential clients, existing clients, is also significantly important. So those numbers are fairly light that you see on the screen, but they are still very significant. Most hiring systems fail to predict behavior in your business. Your context is your company. Within your organization, you have an environment which is based on the culture, the dynamics that exists. You have a culture that is impacted by the leadership style, the management style, and we've done some amazing tests in this area where we've looked at identical departments with different managers getting different results, and we see the cultural differences within those teams and how it impacts their success and the results that they have within the business. Okay, so personality profiles have always missed the ability to predict behavior within your organization. When we use Accumatch and we have the culture mapped of an organization through a benchmark, we can start to map people against the culture. When we have the new hire mapped with their manager or leader, we also know how they are going to interact together, where they will be aligned, where they'll be misaligned, and understanding the importance of the misalignment as well as the alignment. All of this is really integral to being able to really be effective with the map. Okay. As I mentioned, when we typically do recruiting, we ask a lot of references. Who gives a bad reference? We already know that, but also the context of behavior when we interview and we ask questions about their past experience. What did they do in this situation? And all of that. I ran a recruiting company for 10 years. I've run multiple businesses. I've started lots of businesses. I've hired team members myself. I've seen all the challenges. And to be honest, that's why I developed Accumatch and behavior intelligence, because I needed to solve that also for myself. And as a result, we now take it around the world, and it's so amazing to see the power of how this works in the hands of coaches and leaders. So I think I've talked about this. What you don't know is, the Clark Kent Superman image. If you were just interviewing Clark Kent, you wouldn't know his full potential, right? Okay, a bit of an exaggerated metaphor there, but really the idea is when we're using our tools and our methodology, we are looking beyond just past behavior. We are looking for potential fit. I often share my story. When I was consulting to major corporations and recessions were coming around, and I went through a profile, I won't name which profile, I was put in a box of a person that is a doer, a worker, if you like, as opposed to a leader. But when I left the organization, I've run multiple businesses, I've launched multiple businesses, I've managed lots of people. So it never identified my potential to give me the opportunity within the organization in order for me to explore that. Yes, I can do technical stuff, but I can also do people stuff. And that's missing in our recruitment processes. It's missing in a lot of the systems. So we've been really educating people to look beyond the current behaviors and to look at potential as part of the process. And we're doing a lot of work continuing in this area. Stage 5, aligning roles to strengths for long-term success. It's a little bit of what I was just talking about, but having the right people in the right roles, is important. Leveraging their natural strengths, but sometimes the strengths can be a limiting behavior. So you need to be careful, just as much as some weaknesses can be a limiting ability. Strength can also be, if you take an autocratic leader, that's a strength that can be a problem, right? If it's not managed properly. So understanding the alignment between these things is really transformational for people. It boosts their productivity when they are aligned properly, when they understand each other, and it impacts the success of the organization. So alignment to the role is also critical, and I'm going to give an example in a moment where this was just an amazing feat that was taken by a large organization. They took a big risk and it paid off. So it's pretty significant when you look at 36%. It's not 10%, 5%, 36% is huge. Okay. And this is about employee satisfaction. It's about the employee engagement. It's all of that stuff that we've been talking about for the past 2 decades. But now we have some tools and methodologies that go beyond what we were doing. The 360s and things like that, they're too narrow in their focus. They're good and great. You shouldn't forget about them, but we need to open our mind to a broader thinking style about how we study an organization on a cultural level, on a behavioral level, because behavior is really the important part, not the thinking, not the intention, not the why, but the how and the what that impacts the why. I have this conversation with a lot of people. Why changes? I've never met an organization that really had clarity on their vision and mission. It evolves, it changes, it's growing. If it wasn't, we would never evolve as the human race, dominant race on the planet. Okay, so the what and how is constantly affecting that. It's a loop. Okay, so we need to just remember that this is really important. Now, as I said, I'm covering the 5 stages, and we're getting to the point now of saying, okay, well, let's talk about what makes this important for you. Well, first of all, you're able to stand out in a crowd. Your unique value proposition becomes very clear, very specific, and your methodology, which is the second part of that, is critical for people to understand that how to do this. Okay, how to deliver that, what you're going to do, and how you're going to do it is critical. So the win-win of your success is going to affect everyone that you work with. It's science-based. I've spent 8 years in R&D, 4 years in a master level study of all the behavior, psychology, neuroscience, etc. So you can take advantage of that decade plus. We're now 1.5 decades into this, and you can take this and implement it in your practice and with your clients. Okay, take your thinking to a new level, because that's your ceiling today. And when you raise that ceiling, your financial success, your ability to evolve and transform to a whole new level becomes possible. So, quick recap before we get into the bonus and some of the exciting stuff I want to share with you in a moment. So it's data driven. It's very precise. We don't put people in a box. We don't just use a single continuum to measure certain behavior responses within a situation. We are comparing it to benchmarks. We are exploring it. We are actually not doing it for them. We're helping them go through that transformation, change, that self-awareness. We're helping them develop new techniques, new methods, new behaviors to get different results. They're strategies for you as a coach, you as a leader, your team, the dynamics, the hiring. It's taking a holistic view of how Accumatch and behavior intelligence can impact an organization. It is a point of differentiation. And as we know, in many industries today, there's so many people that are just offering the same things that it's hard to get differentiated, hard to be recognized above the noise. And so this will become, as it has for many coaches that have basically stopped doing business coaching or life coaching, and they've shifted to Accumatch behavior intelligence as their core of their business. It's that powerful. Okay. So I put some examples there because we sometimes get stuck with, well, where can I use this? How can I use this? What areas? Yes, if you're a business coach, that's a pretty broad area. Well, what type of businesses are you working with? What type of leaders are you working with? So, we recently, a few years ago, launched a family-run enterprises solution specific for family-run businesses. Maybe that's where you want to focus. The partnerships, mergers, acquisitions, that's a huge area where you can map different managers, different organization cultures. You can overlay them. You can do all kinds of things with the Accumatch that allow you to make better decisions about the merger on a people level. Okay. The dynamics, entrepreneurship, recruiting, or the executives of the boardroom, it works in all of these areas. It's up to you to really pick your niche. Will help you to define the methodology and the process for you to do that, so that you can actually be differentiated and not just be a generalist in so many different areas. I encourage you to do that. Success stories, again, case studies are always important. I'm going to just share one because really we've got thousands of these. Every masterclass, somebody comes and shares a story. I'm going to talk about this one briefly. This is actually a entrepreneur who was a coach running a small firm and constantly pulling his hair out with the team, the challenges, the growth, and realized that a lot of it was him. And so through Acumatch and the self-awareness, he transformed himself and how he works with his team, uses it in his hiring. He's now a multi-business owner, a true entrepreneur, successful across 4 different businesses, and in the process of replacing himself with a great executive team. So that's the power of this journey, the 5-step journey. It always starts with self-awareness, awareness of others, and helping others with their dynamics, working on the recruitment process, and putting people in the right role. And so the second story that I want to share is this large corporation that mapped the team and identified at the senior level where the misalignment was, okay? And where there was a misalignment, they offered the people to shift within the organization to a role that was more aligned to them, okay? So they advertised all these positions and people moved around, and the impact was a 20% reduction in turnover and a 15% growth within the first year. It was just an amazing story. So that's the kind of thing that coaches that are using this are doing. We've got coaches that work with individuals and career coaching. We've got coaches that work with businesses and coaches working with very large organizations doing hundreds of assessments each year with those organizations. So wrapping up, it's going to help you build stronger client relationships, greater client retention, trust, measurable outcomes. You can map the benchmarks before, the culture before and after. You can see performance guidelines. When we talk about performance reviews, we rarely talk about the behavior adjustments that need to happen, because we judge only on the behavior. Observable behavior is the only thing we judge other people on. And that's been missing also in personnel development and so forth. So all of this is really important when you put it all together. Potential revenue, when you start to add this up for coaches as well, right? The client acquisition increases significantly as a result of this. 15 to 20% is just, it's much more than that, right? Client retention, right? The cost of acquiring a new client, we've talked about this before, is at least 5 times more effort, more costly than retaining an existing client. But more importantly, the difference between having a client for 6 months, and I've had coaches on our team that just churn through clients, right? They're great salespeople, but they're not so great at coaching. The other extreme is my clients were with me for 5-10 years when I work with them. The coaches that use this also increased their client retention. Now think about that revenue of 6 months versus, even if it's 3 years, that's a 10 time, right? Maybe more, right? Increase in that process, right? So your uniqueness then becomes a clear identifier, your focus, which industry, what segment you're going to work with becomes critical. But client retention is not just a verbal thing. You need the right tools to do that. So we developed a coaching app. This is a snapshot of a program that's running with a team, and you can see all of the coaching sessions on the left-hand side. In the middle, we have all the notes, all the homework, all the assignments. And on the right, we have the goals, the targets. And so it's visible constantly. There's a lot more to it. If I have time today, I'll give you a quick demo. But basically, when you have the right tools and the client can actually log in and update the system and see their own progress, and the color coding, the red, the orange, the green, becomes a way of reinforcing what's been done, what hasn't been done, to be able to reward them, encourage them, move them along. This is a critical component of client retention. Making things systemized in a way that it's visible, it's transparent, all of your notes, documents, everything in one place not only makes your life easier because it's all in one place and easy to manage, but it also empowers you to get results with your clients. When we incorporate Accumatch with a coaching app like that, you then can also track the progress of the behaviors and the impact on the goals of what you are working on. So you can stay on track. You can upload the Accumatch maps as they progress through their journey. So you can always go back and quickly demonstrate and show them the journey that they've been on. And they can log in and they can see that for themselves. This is so, so important, right? It's critical. We're also talking about the app for leaders to do with their clients who are their team members. I do that with my team. I use it in-house, and it's part of the process that we use as me being a leader, mentor, coach to my team members so that they know how they are performing also within that. So that will be also available to leaders. If you want to use this, think of yourself as a coach to your team, not just a leader. Right? So 4 areas that we're looking at here, turnover, productivity gains, improved hiring, and the impact on the bottom line is pretty significant. It's in terms of working with businesses, but it's also in working on your own practice. Your next steps, I don't know if I can have time to demo this. I'm running out of time, but this is an example of 2 benchmarks. So you can do benchmark comparisons for different teams, different roles, when you're hiring, all kinds of things. There are lots of resources available to support you, my masterclasses, some coaching. Some of our experts now are also helping new coaches, coaching them. So this is evolving into the next level. And as a promo today, we're not only doing this, but there's a bonus that I'm going to share in a moment. But the Accumatch Foundation training now is 4 parts. You've got the behavior intelligence, BIQ, training, understanding the neuroscience behind this, the reason it works, how to coach, the methodology of coaching behavior intelligence, then Accumatch certification. The interpretation of Accumatch is very critical, and how to use that in a coaching context to help people in their own journey of self-discovery is critical. BYCP is a program that I launched to also look at the business of running a coaching practice. Build your coaching practice is what BYCP is. So we go through the modules within your organization. And today, the bonus is actually giving you another powerful tool to implement in running your coaching practice. Okay, BIQ Coach, the app that I mentioned just a little while ago, is also bundled in with this. You get 12-month access to all the systems. You get 60 assessments. You get weekly masterclasses, access to the panelists, the community channel that we've launched recently. So there is just so much packed into this. It's normally, I'm in the way here. I'm just going to move me. All right. It's normally a, whoops, that didn't work too well. $10,000 of value. We have a special promo at the moment where you get that at a 50% discount. The bonus, we're also throwing in our digital marketing platform. This is the first platform in the last 4 decades. I've been doing this for a long time, that I've seen that brings your CRM, your calendar scheduling, your clients, your payment methods, your email marketing, your funnels, your website, the automation, the workflows, even artificial intelligence, all in just one fully integrated, all-in-one platform that is also now integrated with the coaching app. So you're in one system the whole time, running your business, your marketing, your operations, all in one place. And we are helping you to do that. Again, there's another masterclass that we run on the operation side so that you get the full support of that. So the first 12 months, again, being provided as part of this for the $5,000 single fee. So you're getting $13,000 worth of value as part of this promo today. And the way to get that is by contacting me directly or going to the Acumatch website and booking a meeting. Okay, so this isn't a coupon that's being shared everywhere. It's, we need to qualify, make sure we have the right people working with us. And if you reach out to me, it's just nagi@biqorg.com, or go to the acumatchbi.com site and book a meeting. Okay, so that's it for me for today. I hope you have enjoyed the session. I want to thank you for attending. Unfortunately, I don't have time for Q&A, but again, the reason I'd like you to reach out to me is I'd like to answer your questions in person, or one of our sales team members will direct you to the right area depending on your queries and what you need help with. Thank you and have a great rest.